Right, let's talk about Brendon McCullum then. Yeah, I mean, Harsha Burgley said, when you fail as an Indian cricketer, you see your life disappearing before your opportunity to escape the doldrums, as you were mentioning. And he says, for England cricketers, when they fail, they can just go to Noosa for a beer and everything carries on.
Yeah, I'm so torn. I've got. I don't know where to go with Brendan anymore. I really don't. It's such a difficult one because I don't want to see anybody lose their job. I don't want to see Brendan lose his job. I think he's a brilliant person. Yeah, I think he's a good coach. I think it's the right time. I think this would be the right time for England to move on. And I say that with all respect for the man, for what he's brought to English cricket. And I say it with gritted teeth and a lot of reluctance. But I think what happened in Australia from the minute they landed in New Zealand till the minute the game finished in Sydney, I think if you look at that in isolation alone, I don't see how anybody keeps their job. And that's my only gripe with Brendon McCullum. The preparation side of it's before and different tours. That I've got no problem with that. This is the way they want to. This is the way they want to go about their job. This is the way they want to prepare. This is where they want to get it right. I mean, everybody does it differently, and I've got no problem with that. Um, I just have. I can't see too much changing. They talked about this in the series. So after the third test, when England lost, they owned up that they might have made the mistakes of possibly preparation. They didn't get it quite right. They didn't get a lot quite right, and they owned them up. Do I see them changing? Do I see what they got wrong, putting right? I'm not so sure. I listened to what he said afterwards, and I would have said exactly the same thing if I was Brendan. This is the way he is. This is the way he builds his team. This is the way his teams. This is the way his dressing room environment is. When he says people think it's a cozy club and it's relaxed and it doesn't do the work, I think they do the work. I've got no problem. I think we've seen the manners. We were in New Zealand. Me and you were in India. We've seen them do the work. They work very, very hard to this group, and I don't mind the relaxed environment. I really don't. Try and take pressure off your players. But there was so much went wrong in that Ashes trip, whether it was preparation, whether it was selection, whether it was behaviour on the field, off the field. These are the coaches' domain. And for that very reason, I'm not looking at Ashes at home. I'm not looking at India at home or away. I'm making my decision and making my call and making my judgment off this one Ashes series. And when people say we always go to Australia, we always get beat, and we always change things, I think this time it's different. I think it's very, very different. And I think that, unfortunately, like I said before, with gritted teeth, I would make a call and say I'd definitely change the Red Bull side of it, possibly change the whole thing. And it might not be a popular opinion. And Brendan, I'm sure, would not like that. But I'm not. There's no personal things to me here. I say this as somebody who has a huge amount of affection and respect for what Brendon McCullum has done for English cricket. I just think in that big moment, I think they got it so badly wrong. And unfortunately, somebody has to carry the accountability side of it, and that would be the coach.
Okay, let's hear one of the more predictable quotes from England's white ball captain, Harry Brook.
I've said plenty of times he's the best coach I've ever had, best head coach I've ever had. The way that he speaks to everybody, the way that he's got an aura in the dressing room. Everybody looks up to him, and the things that he did in the game as a player was unbelievable. And he just carried that into his coaching. The things that he's done over the 4 years that he's took over has changed English cricket for hopefully for the best. And yeah, like I said, he's the best head coach I've ever had.
That's England white ball captain Harry Brook. Very often, when a captain or a senior player is asked about a coach who he doesn't support, he says, "Well, it's not up to me. It's not my decision." You kind of know then but Harry Brook very, very much backing Brendon McCullum to stay on. It's very sometimes unkind and misleading to read a quote because you miss the nuance of the expression, but we haven't got this one recorded. But just listen to that quote that you were alluding to. This is from McCullum. There's probably a perception that we run a casual operation. It couldn't be further from the truth. We run an informal operation, but the work is done. The preparation is put in place. There's an environment which operates in a certain way. And because you are relaxed around that doesn't mean that the work is not being done. See, there's a few things that stick in the mind. I want to say, Harmy, like you, when I first encountered Brendon McCullum and New England, I was absolutely blown away. I'd never seen a team more enjoying themselves more at training, at practice. You know, there was absolutely no sense of going through the motions, and, you know, they had music playing and that they were enjoying their work. And it was refreshing and it was invigorating, and it's something I hadn't seen before in almost 30 years of covering cricket. But there's still a few things that stick in the throat. There, in the middle of that, we run an informal operation. This is England. It's the England cricket team. You paid a lot of money, which is one thing, but you're also representing a lot of people who pay a lot of money to come and watch you. And it's a multi-million-pound business. Why are you running an informal operation?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more with what you're saying there. We're elite. I mean, should be an elite. We are an elite sports team. This is the thing. I mean, a very good friend of mine, one of my sort of close mates. He's a football agent, and I've known him for the best part of 25, 30 years. He's done in all different sports, across all sports, and he keeps having a go at me. And he keeps having a go at me and going, yeah, but you should be elite. English cricket is not elite. And when I dive down deep into that, and I try and shake my head and go, well, cricket has never been like that. I mean, it's always had not a drinking culture, but there's always been an enjoyable element at the end of a game. And he kept hitting me going, why? I mean, Simon Jordan did it throughout the Ashes, exactly the same as what one of my best mates was trying to say. It's like, this is the England cricket team. You're getting paid a hell of a lot of money. There's a lot of money in cricket now. You should be elite. So when you talk about the drinking culture and alcohol that comes in, and like I said before, I went on that podcast a few weeks ago and talked about Mark Wood, and I used the wrong choice of words, and I should apologize for using the neglect word, and I shouldn't have said that. But what I meant was that the medical side of the England cricket team, I mean, it's an elite sports team. Jofra Archer has played minimal amount of cricket in 5 years. Mark Wood's played minimal amount of cricket in 4 or 5 years. Even Ben Stokes, when he was injured, they didn't quite get that right. They're an elite sports team. England cricket are, you know, this is you know, from a financial point of view, there's a lot of money involved with Test match, one day, and T20 cricket. And, you know, I keep using the same terminology. You know, would Pep Guardiola be without Erling Haaland and have him play minimal games in 5 years? No, because they're Premier League. The Premier League's elite. There's a lot of money involved. You get your players back in. And I understand the franchise world is changing the landscape of cricket. But if you've got a contracted player, you make sure that contracted player is doing things properly. You make sure that contracted player is making your team better. And at this minute in time, I look at the England cricket team, and McCullum saying he runs an informal ship. I mean, these guys are getting paid a lot of money for an informal ship. And I understand what he's trying to say. And it's not a poor choice of words or anything. He's basically trying to say, look, it's your career. We want you to enjoy what you're doing. But I think the informal bit, when he first came in, worked brilliantly. And it worked brilliantly because he had the likes of Bairstow, he had the likes of Anderson, he had Broad, he had Wokes, he had players who knew their game.
And it was post-COVID.
And it was post-COVID, yeah. It was post-COVID, and, you know, you were picking the pieces up of what happened before COVID. But he had players who knew their game, coupled with the fact he had Root and he had Stokes, and one or two others. Now he's got six batters in a, you know, say top 7. You know, Jamie Smith's numbers are going downhill as well. He's got 3 of them averaging 34 or less. You know, you can't just throw a team together and say, right, there's an informal ship. And I think all that coming together is why I think I'd make a change. You know, would you want somebody like a Justin Langer coming in and suffocating the team? Probably not. Would you want Andy Flower coming in? Andy Flower in the test job when I was involved, and that's a long, long time ago, as Kevin Peterson famously said, you know, would suffocate the group. So, but there has to be a middle ground and a middle balance, because at this moment in time, this informal ship can't put two balls in the right place together, can't get your Premier League fast bowlers on the park for long enough, and you've got three batters in the top six averaging 34 or less. So if that's an informal group, something needs to change.